3 ways for high school baseball players to increase their throwing velocity. Hey guys, welcome back to Overhead Athletics. I'm Max Wardell. We're going to talk about 3 ways in which you can increase your throwing velocity as a high school baseball player. And we're going to talk about some low-hanging fruit here. We see a lot of popular things thrown around. You got to throw weighted balls, you got to do deadlifts, power cleans, whatever it is. Here's 3 really easy ways that are going to be just as effective, if not more effective, long-term than those things for increasing your throwing velocity. And unfortunately, not many people are utilizing these 3 tools. So check them out. First, I'm going to cover one of the most simple ways to increase your throwing velocity. I see probably the majority of athletes I see are high school baseball players. And in working with these athletes, one thing that I consistently find is that they're inflexible. Particularly, they have poor hamstring extensibility. They can't lengthen their hamstrings and get their chest forward in the throw. So what we're going to show you is a hamstring stretch, but know that getting more flexible in your lower extremities overall is going to help you throw faster. And the reason for that is if you're not able to access the positions of the throw because you're too tight and you can't get into the positions, you're not going to be able to produce as much power and you're going to be limiting yourself. So I talk about hamstring flexibility a lot, and that's because I see so many athletes who are restricted. So the first thing is hamstring flexibility, and the reason for that is because so many athletes are limited in it. One way we do this is to put you in a position specific to the throw, meaning back leg straight, just like where I released the baseball. Front legs extended, toes down, chest is up, back's flat. Now from here, I use the fence as how far I get down. I don't want to arch my back, but I keep my chest up, and then I turn into the foot. So now I'm turned towards my foot, and I'm actually going to hold this for anywhere from 1 to maybe even 5 minutes. So I find a position where I can really get into this stretch. I usually try to do 2 minutes because that's a good number, and if I stay consistent every day, I'm going to make market increase. This is the first way to start it. Then I can start working into more advanced variations where I work further and further down to the floor. Once you can get 6 inches from the floor or so, then you're getting pretty flexible. I say flexibility is the #1 way to increase your throwing velocity. Now, don't choose 7 stretches, don't choose 10 stretches, choose 2 or 3 stretches, and become really consistent with those stretches. If you find that you're limited in one motion, maybe one muscle, pick that muscle and do some stretches there. I love this stretch for the hamstrings, and it's one of our easiest ways to start to increase velocity. And what we see is guys will say, oh, I stretch all the time. Well, how long do you stretch? Oh, 15 to 30 seconds, 20 seconds. Well, you're not going to make any improvement with that. Stick with it 2 minutes a day, do that for 3 months, and then see if you've made any improvement in your hamstring flexibility. The same way, if you're really limited and you can't squat down, if your ankles are too tight, pick an ankle stretch. But the first way is to increase your flexibility. Don't pick up the weighted balls, don't pick up any sort of crazy implements until you've addressed your flexibility deficits, particularly in your lower extremity, whether it's hip flexor, hamstring, ankle, whatever it is. Choose a stretch, do 2 minutes of it. That's way #1 to increase your throwing velocity. So once you've worked on your flexibility, and I think that's an often overlooked component of training programs for athletes, remember, a few stretches, a few minutes a day, consistently every single day, measure your progress. But the next way is to improve the sequencing of your throw. We see a lot of things focused on power. We see a lot of things focused on different training gimmicks. We don't see a lot of things that are really innately or intensely focused on throwing mechanics. So what we're going to do here is think about that. I'm going to show you a couple different throwing mechanic drills that are really simple to do. Check out our channel for more, but understand that this is the next way to start to increase your throwing velocity. I get in an athletic stance here, I rotate into my hip. So a lot of guys rotate to the target too early, and they have their arm in a poor position. So I start with my arm basically right in front of my right eye as a right-hander. The ball's in a great position. I take a big step, chest forward, and throw. So I'm going to do a few of these throws, so you guys can kind of see what we're looking at here. But I'm rotated into this hip, turned away from the target, ball's in close to my head, keep the ball in close, big step. So that's drill #1 right here. If you have a difficult time keeping the ball in, you keep dragging your arm out and around, use a connection ball, or you can get a cheap version from a dollar store, same exact drill. I've actually seen that drill get taken by people. I watched a big-time pro, Corbin Burns, using my drill on MLB Network. Here's a little clip of that in the corner here, which is I'm cool with. I'm really cool with that because the more this stuff gets out there, the better. The more people this helps, I'm all for it. Pros are using it. That's a drill you can use as well. Same idea with the leg up, working on your mechanics. Get your chest out there to the target and then start to put it all together from a full throw. So it's all about the intention to throw hard. It's going to make a difference for you, and you have to do it consistently with sufficient number of repetitions. Start with 15, 20 at a high intensity. Build 45. I know I benefited quite well from when I did sessions once a week of 40 to 60 really high intensity throws. I had to build to that. Some athletes are going to benefit more from throwing 3 days a week, 15 to 20 reps, 3 different days a week. You may start with 15 reps once a week and build from there. Whatever it is, start throwing at your maximum intensity consistently. Build your flexibility, increase your throwing mechanics. And if you're sitting there thinking, I might have fixed that, or I think I've worked on that a lot, you probably haven't done enough. Specifically on the throwing mechanics and flexibility side, it takes a long period of time to develop sufficient flexibility, and if you stretch 30 seconds twice a week, it's not going to be enough. And if you work on your throwing mechanics, but you don't have a clear understanding of how you're going to work on your throwing mechanics, why you're going to work on them, and what you're going to work on, you're wandering without a map. And if you don't know where you're going, any path will take you there. So keep that in mind. But these are 3 things that I think most high school baseball players, if not all high school baseball players, would truly benefit from to increase their throwing velocity and get them to a higher throwing velocity in a relatively short amount of time. 2-3 months, dedicated work will get you there. If you guys haven't yet, check out some of our online programs. Feel free to shoot us an email, overheadathletics@gmail.com. We'll be happy to talk about some throwing mechanics analysis, because there's a difference between having your pitching coach look at your throwing mechanics, or your dad look at your throwing mechanics, and having somebody that has trained eyes and has taken a doctorate level biomechanics course before. So keep that in mind. Subscribe to the channel. We'll see you guys in the next video.